Excerpt from the Massetti Prime Gazette. Translated to human units based on your location. Dear readers, in order for this week's column to make sense, I must assume you are already familiar with the concept of music. Most races have invented music at some point in their history. It seems the pattern-finding traits that aid in sentience development are somehow intrinsically tied to an enjoyment of music. From the mighty hymns of conquest composed by the Aviwa to the communal improvisational chants of the Kekek, it seems that everyone loves a good song. Indeed, even the noble Xtree, who had no concept of music until their first contact, have an appreciation for the art. Humans, however, and I must at this point resign myself to the fact that this sentence will appear in one form or another in every column, have taken this simple idea and transformed it into something that transcends logic or comprehension. Your average species will develop one style of music and pretty much work to perfect it. And they justifiably take great pride in their musical accomplishments. Humans, somewhere along the line, collectively decided that they needed more genres of music than could possibly be understood, an idea that is as ridiculous as it is difficult to explain. For example, let's look at one of the more recent of the human musical genres, electronic music, defined by mostly being produced with electronic instruments. Within this overarching genre, there are no less than 19 major subgenres, and that's not even considering the sub-subgenres that have developed into their own individual musical scenes. This would be daunting enough without the even more confounding idea of fusion genres that combine two or more styles into an entirely new one. Essentially, there is more to learn about human music than any reasonable being could ever expect to know. So moving past the unknowable ocean of genre, what else can be said about human music? I could talk about the variety of musical instruments they have created, and the immense level of skill required to play any one of them, their incredible vocal control and willingness to sing, or perhaps the general commonality of their music, how it seems to be an ever-present part of life for humans. They don't reserve music for grand ceremonies or mourning, or restrict its use to only war marches, or whatever other species mostly do. Humans make music for anything, about everything, and play it everywhere. All these things and more can be said about their music. But I was truly moved by their live performances. Living among humans, you hear music every day. Waking up, it plays as your alarm. It's broadcast during the morning news, in the transit stations, in lobbies, offices, outside stores, inside stores, on mobile devices. You need to work to avoid music on a human world. But all this music is pre-recorded and often mastered and polished to a shimmering perfectness. There is emotion in it, yes. But the process has somehow removed the humanness of the art from the product. When viewed in person, however, everything changes about the experience. Seeing the actual artist playing and singing and dancing their hearts out on stage, it's so different from hearing the song by yourself on the radio. These human musicians, they are positively radiating with emotion. It's infectious, dear readers. They move you to joy or sadness within the space of 2 songs. They get you clapping as hard and loud as you dare, trying to make yourself a meaningful part of the crowd, desperate to participate in the process of enjoying their music. They whip the crowd into a dancing frenzy, bodies mashing together and jumping in unison, a larger whole created from disparate individuals. You stand motionless, hardly daring to breathe, as the singer on stage serenades the room, singing for herself more than for you. The experiences are as indescribable as they are unforgettable. I would recommend some of my favorite musical acts that I have personally seen, but I am afraid that tastes will vary from individual to individual as well as from race to race. So as not to offend, I will keep my personal opinions to myself. However, I encourage you, dear readers, to go and find your own preference and tastes. Explore the deep and vast oceans of music the humans have watered for us. Each musical act is different, so too is each crowd different. Quiet crowds, loud crowds, Crowds that would literally kill the unwary non-human attendant in their vigor for the violent dancing, enjoyed at the shows of some genres. The experience is never the same and always enjoyable, despite the potential danger to the careless. If you find yourself enjoying music by a living human musician, I cannot recommend enough going to see them perform in person. It will probably change your life. As the humans say. Rock on, dear readers. Haltel Valken, Xenoculture Correspondent, Massetti Prime Gazette. Footnotes. A major human knowledge repository lists the major electronic music genres as HFY dance, ambient, bass and drum, breakbeat, drum and bass, electro, Eurodance, folk electronic, hardcore, high NRG, house, industrial, real-time boomba, techno, trance, trip-hop, UK garage, and zero-G. Within the techno sub-genre, for example, are acid techno, ambient techno, bass techno, crisp house, frozen techno, minimal techno, psycho techno, retro techno, subjective techno, and tech house. Some techno fusion genres include HFY dance, digital hardcore, dub techno, hyper techno, kuduro, electroclash, eurodance, ghetto tech, grotto tech, IDM, moon techno, Scott Raw, shanty house, tech step, tech stoop, tech style, trance, and uberboomba beat. Trying to keep up with human dancing, dear readers, is simply not possible. Please pace yourself. This lesson was learned the hard way by the author, by passing out in a crowd and waking up in a hospital with bruises on his skin and nourishment tubes in his arms. Extreme caution is recommended for any shows of the metal, punk, or ska genres. Author's name and the link to original text is in the description. Consider tapping the thumbs up and pressing the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video.